Don't look now, but you're listening to the Yellow Bag Brigade, the authorities on everything geek. And now, whether you like it or not, here are your hosts, Michael Nystrom and Johan Arwidmark.
Hello, my friend Johan. Are you there?
Yes, Michael, ready to go.
That's good. So what's today's topic then?
Today, it's about building the better lab environment.
Mm-hmm. So why should we have a lab environment in the first place?
Well, for a start, it's very useful when you learn new things. You don't have to destroy the production environment at all times. I remember something you said a while back. I can't remember where we did a session, but I had a hard time not laughing out loud. You said something like, everybody has a test environment, and there are a few lucky people that also have a production environment.
And it's true. I mean, you really need to have a huge company or organization to be able to have like the reference environment, the validation environment, and the production environment. Most customers don't have that, and even if you do, then you need to manage them all. It's like, God. And then they all need to look the same, and you need to synchronize and all that stuff. So, yeah, a lot of people have tests, but a few of them actually do have a production environment. That's true.
Yep.
So, let's say that I do have eLab. It doesn't matter what it is, but what's the actual benefit? What, in your opinion, your personal opinion, what is the benefit of having your own lab, large or small? It's just you have a lab environment. What's the benefit?
It's just that you can test all different scenarios you want to play around with. It's about learning, it's about repeating, doing things over and over again, giving you that sort of confidence to work with a new product. And I mean, Microsoft these days, the cadence is pretty heavy. I mean, there are updates coming out every single week about something, and the ability to be able to play around with them and test them in a lab, it's absolutely key.
Yeah, I like
you need to do that.
I like the confidence thing. I mean, let's say that you have some kind of server, and there's a hard drive, and there's a RAID controller, and you go like, I think I know how to change the hard drive. I read on how to change the hard drive. I read everything. I actually watched a YouTube video on how to do that, but still, it's a production environment. You've never done it before, and go like, am I really doing this the right way? Like having a lab environment, even if it's not exactly the same, the basic way you do it is going to be the same. So when you can repeat things like, I have blown up my domain controller 29 times today, and I reinstalled it 30 times, and it still works perfectly fine. If that happens in the real world, then you're going to be pretty confident you know exactly how to do it. I like the...
For example, trying backup restore scenarios. I mean, I work a lot with Config Manager, and very few customers that I come out to, they actually done a restore. They read about it, as you said.
Yep.
They've seen the documentation about it, but they haven't done it.
True.
But if you do that in the lab 5 times, dang, you get pretty good hang of it after a while.
Yeah, you do. Now, I think that if I didn't have a lab environment, and you know my lab environment, if I didn't have that, I would not be where I am today.
I would like to stretch it and say I would not be able to do my daily job without having access to lab environments, or a lab environment at least.
You're right. Now, the question is that, let's say that, so we stated the fact that you need to have a lab environment, right?
Yes.
Now the question is, how much?
I mean, it certainly does not have to be a $25,000 server. You can basically find any decent desktop, even a decent laptop these days. You punch in a 1 terabyte SSD, preferably an NVMe SSD, because they're much faster and offloads the CPU and all that. A bit of memory, say 32 gigs, and if you can afford more, awesome. But that actually allows you to test a few good servers running at the same time, a bunch of clients, and it will run fast. I mean, you will be able to simulate most things. I mean, I do lots of test deployments, sometimes even with multiple networks. I introduce virtual routers into the mix so I can simulate having one network in New York, one network in Chicago, and it's a 10 megabit connection in between, and I have a bit of a latency and it's bandwidth limitations and even 0.5% of package loss. Stuff like that. I can test that in a virtual environment without needing physical routers or anything like that. It's just basically any machine that you can get your hands on.
Yeah. Now, one of my oldest lab machines it's an HP laptop. It's an 8460p. It's nothing fancy. It has an i5 in it, but the thing is that I replaced the hard drive. That was one of the first things I did. I replaced the hard drive with 2 SSD drives. One SSD drive runs the operating system, and the other SSD drives is, well, that's data deduplication. I run Windows Server on it with Hyper-V. It has only 16 gigs of RAM, but the thing is that the 16 gig of RAM means I can have the domain controller. I can have System Center. I can have a couple of clients. I can have Virtual Machine Manager. I can even join my laptop into the domain itself. And you and I have been building lab environments for training for many, many years. And we need to figure out how to run a simulation of an enterprise environment on like 16, 20, 24, 32 gigs of RAM. And we do that, and it works. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great. But in many cases, and this is sad, in many cases, it's actually faster than your production environment. That doesn't say anything about the goodness of your lab environment. That usually states something about the poor performance of your production environment. But I've seen laptop systems, lab environment running faster than production. They go like, nah, it's faster to use the lab environment. What?
Yeah. So even, yes, you can get some stuff working on 16 gigs of RAM, but I'm going to keep my stance and say that if you get 32 and more, you're going to be more happy with that setup.
It's true. I mean, yeah, if I look around, what I have at home, I think I'd have like 8 microservers. I have.
Yeah, but you are a bit of an overachiever, so there's that.
2 racks. I don't need heating in my basement, that's for sure. But on the other hand, the power we have means that we can run, we can do almost anything on the hardware we have, and it's not brand new. We borrowed some of it from HP. Actually, they was kind enough to lend us a bit of hardware, and it's really great. So you need to have that, but that's not
it's
enough.
not only about the hardware,
No.
right? It's all about finding the tools itself also to help you do the setup.
Yeah.
Embracing automation. And I mean, we have been doing this for so many years now, so there is a lot of good stuff out there that can help you get a lab kit going. There are everything from ready-made lab kits that you can just download the VMs from Microsoft. They call it the Microsoft 365 desktop labs that you can download as a 20-some gigs download, and then you get something going. Mm-hmm. Or you can build them yourself using the various hydration kits that exist out there. I mean, you've been working on yours for probably 10 years now.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. So what is a hydration kit?
Well, the hydration kit is simple. You're using one method, and I'm using another method, but the basic essence is the same thing. It is, it's a solution that builds an environment, and you can build it very fast. I mean, if I need a domain controller, I need to build a new lab environment. I need a domain controller, I need a deployment server, I need a terminal server, I need 2 workstations. The domain controller is going to take, I think it's 17 minutes from it doesn't exist to everything is in it, it's configured, all the user accounts, DNS, DHCP, you name it. It's complete. And if I want to build a full fabric with everything, Windows Server, System Center, Hyper-V, storage spaces, everything, it's about 3.5 hours. And that's not just a lab environment. We actually use it for production as well, because we build and sell systems like that. And the last time we built it was 3 hours, 3.5, something like that. I run it on my laptop, and that's building on a laptop, so it's really fast. And why do we need to have that? Can't I build a lab environment? Let's say that, Johan, you're going to build a lab environment, and you're going to maintain that, and you're going to keep it, and you're going to nurse it, and you're going to patch it, and you're going to do weird things in it, because that's what you do. Now, the thing is that if you do weird things in it, it will be weird. And you really want to start all over again. That's why
I've lost count of many times I set up new lab environment because I wanted to try out something that, didn't quite work as I expected the first time, and I wanted to go back to a non-state again, and I didn't snapshot all the VMs and stuff. I tried to avoid that. I don't like it too much, but
Right.
I like the ability to just spinning up new labs, fresh labs, that I can start to do configurations in. The same thing when developing training materials and stuff like that. It's just really useful to come back to a known state.
So how many scripts-ish do you have that you built just for the purpose of building test and lab environment? How many scripts do you have that builds a light touch deployment share?
It's probably totally in the hundreds, but as long as you have something, you don't have to recreate everything from scratch, because there are a lot of community stuff out there that you can start from. But be prepared to do a little bit of writing on your own as well for stuff that is unique to your environment. But don't reinvent the wheel unless you really want to, because there is a lot of stuff out there.
So a very simple story. I had a customer that said, we want to take your training, but we have one guy that really wants to do everything manual. And I said, okay, we can adjust the training for it. So everybody was doing the labs using a PowerShell script to build a domain controller. It took them about 20 minutes to do that. The guy that manually built everything spent about 6 hours clicking through the setup of installing Windows, Active Directory, DHCP, DNS, and all that stuff. And the reason why it takes 6 hours is because there's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading and clicking. And I asked him, why do you want to do this? Well, I want to compare the experience of installing a Server 2003, which I know how to do, and to do the same thing in Server 2019. Okay, was there any difference? No, it was the same thing. It just, maybe you can script it in Server 19, and you couldn't really do that in the old days. And it's true, so doing things manually, it's just a waste of time. You don't really want to do that. You already done it, and script it, automate it. That's going to be the solution, to do all these stuff.
So we're leaving you guys with embrace automation, get the lab going, and that's all for now. Join us for the next episode, where the topic is going to be deployment monitoring.
Awesome! That's going to be so fun.
Thank you for listening to the Yellow Bag Brigade, the authorities on everything geek. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and if you didn't, that's your problem. Till next time, embrace automation.